fallout after federal agents conduct immigration raids across Los Angeles. We covered this yesterday extensively, but the situation has developed. Let's take a look.
Overnight, President Trump ordering the deployment of 2,000 members of the National Guard to Los Angeles in response to clashes between demonstrators and authorities over immigration enforcement here. ABC's Trevor Alt is in Compton this morning. Good morning, Trevor.
Good morning, Gio, and you can see some of the remnants of these very dangerous clashes that we saw play out for more than 12 hours. This is a police camera surveillance system that has been toppled over here. There's a lot of different police tape, remnants, glass, debris that is all in the street as these violent clashes continue. And this morning we see a ton of law enforcement activity.
I think in some ways the media is like really exaggerating the response. Judging by what I've seen and what I have talked to about people that have been on the ground, like the media coverage around this is like definitely a little bit more exciting than the actual events that took place. Like they're not even necessarily against. I wouldn't even say that they're necessarily against the protests, because like you hear the same stuff that they did with the Black Lives Matter protests as well, where they'll be like, well, these are mostly mostly peaceful demonstrations and people engaging in acts of civil disobedience. But, you know, every time there is a lit up car or a trash can or an overturned surveillance, like one of those like surveillance panels that they put up next to gas stations, the media comes in and covers it like it's the goddamn purge, like it's over, you know, it's bedlam, it's chaos. And I think it's not necessarily because like they want to really see how far the Trump administration will go in retaliation, but it's more so because they just want the views. Like if it bleeds, it leads is the mentality, and I think that's the reason why they're doing it. It's not that crazy. It's also one of those instances where like Trump is talking about deploying the National Guard or even potentially like, deploying the American military, right? The Marines, like Pete Hegseth, our defense secretary, the number one DUI rapist in the country, threatened Camp Pendleton Marines in training, the best kinds of Marines, said that he would deploy them. But like we were at the Deco Den. Okay, maybe 20, 30 miles away, and everything, like people, if you were to ask people on the street, like what's going on in Paramount, they would have no idea. And my point is, it's not a deployment of Marine style situation at all, because a deployment of a National Guard style situation would imply the entire city is shut down, right? Like there's no world in which like there is an isolated protest taking place and people that are there's popular community mobilization taking place against like a unjustifiable ICE action in one part of the city, but then the Trump administration is so excited. They're so excited. They're salivating at the prospect of like declaring martial law that they want to deploy troops instantly. Like that's not how it goes. That's ridiculous. The media and right-wing grifters are acting like this is as big as the LA riots when the majority of the people are just protesting. It really seems like they want to exaggerate this to potentially justify going for that full city shutdown. You're wrong, Hasan. As a Paramount resident, everyone on Alondra was out for their community. In Paramount, I have video evidence of soldiers taking pics with a tear gas canister. In Paramount, chopper flew in to refill ammunition. Dude, I'm not saying that the government response isn't overboard. I'm saying that the government response is overboard for the actions that took place. Calm down. My point is, this is not like the citywide protest that unfolded after Rodney King, but they're trying to make it seem like it is. Okay, this isn't to say that people are not mobilizing. I just said people are mobilizing. Calm down. Anyway, we'll obviously talk about like how this started in a second, but here, this is let's get into some of the latest. Let's get into some of the latest and greatest here.
different vehicles that have been shifting around, and we've seen the National Guard arrive here not far from Los Angeles as federal officials are saying if this continues, they will bring in branches of the U.S. military.
Overnight, amid intensifying clashes around Los Angeles, President Trump
What's wild about TV and viral news clips is that two guys can create this entire global media scene, perfect for the news chopper circling above. Millions will remember this, etc. And it's just two guys, $10 Mexican flag, and a couple of motorbikes. The real cinema. Yeah, it's like it's so silly. You know what I mean? CNN is covering it, comparing it to Hurricane Katrina, not saying it's bad enough to deploy troops in general, but saying there's not enough happening in LA to warrant it. No, that's exactly what it is. There isn't enough happening in Los Angeles. First of all, there should never be an instance where they deploy troops to Los Angeles unless there is like a literal invasion, okay? Which, you know, in which case it would be really sad because I would probably link up arms with our Chinese overlords to bring about the Chinese century of prosperity. But like there are very, very, very few instances where you deploy military domestically, okay? This is not one of them. Like one car on fire and a couple trash cans on fire is not warranted to invoke the insurrection and declare martial law. You're out of your goddamn mind. These guys are just incredibly horny to do that because they want to do that. That's what their goal is. Their goal is to be an authoritarian, militant dictatorship. And for the record, I will repeat this again and again, but people have every right and the moral responsibility to, one, engage in the act of civil disobedience against the unjustifiable acts that the federal government is taking in terms of ripping people away from their families at their place of business, okay? At their place of work. What are we talking about? Like the inception of the resistance, like the first act here, the responsibility of the federal government is to ensure the safety and security of all Americans, everyone on U.S. soil. And they've already dropped that ball. They are already destroying that social contract. They're ripping it apart by going after people that have not done anything. They've done no crimes. They're just going after people on the basis of a status that they can take away at any given moment. The federal government can take away at any given moment. These are people who are waiting for their full authorization, okay? They are legal. They are not illegal. If you are in the process of waiting for your authorization, waiting for your court date, the government should not be coming to you and kicking you out of the country unless you have done a crime. They have not done a crime. This is not a conspiracy theory. This is openly declared by the federal government. Like Stephen Miller, a week before these raids started in Los Angeles, told ICE to go after 5 times more undocumented migrants. And when they say undocumented migrants or illegal aliens, it doesn't mean people without any sort of paperwork whatsoever. They're talking about people who are actually actively collaborating and cooperating with ICE, the Department of Homeland Security, and the immigration courts. Okay, those are the people that the federal government knows exactly what the day-to-day experiences are and where they are at any given moment because they're constantly checking in with the federal government, and that is precisely the reason why they're trying to make a. What do you want? Okay, here. Oh, because I'm in the middle of something. These are working class people. Virtually all of them are waiting for their day in court. Okay. And these guys are rolling tanks through the cities, claiming that they're actually going after criminals, like violent criminals. Meanwhile, they're rolling tanks through the cities and going to places of business. I thought these were violent criminals. I thought you were trying to apprehend violent criminals. What happened? Why are you ripping apart families? Why are you apprehending mothers at their court date? Like they're pulling people in to immigration courts. They're pulling people into immigration courts and then saying, your status is revoked. We're taking your status away. And ICE is literally waiting in the hallways so they can quickly grab people. It is so inhumane. It's like insane to describe it. Like, I don't know. I don't know how else to explain it to people. Like, these are not, the federal government is actively deciding you are no longer allowed. We don't want you in the country for no reason. They're not violent. Okay. They're not violent. They're not criminals. They are cooperating with the federal government, and the federal government is turning around and saying, we have decided, in order to pursue a political goal, in order to make it seem like we are doing something for our constituents that voted for us, and demand this kind of like racist retribution against random black and brown people, primarily black and brown people, we are going to make your life a living hell. We're going to ship your ass to CCOT. We're going to kidnap you. We're going to remove you from your family, from your way of existence for the past multiple decades, just so some racist crybaby can feel better about himself. Like there's some changes happening in America that actually makes their lives better. And it doesn't even make their lives better. It's incredible. It's incredibly cruel. Here, Paramount, where the street standoff with ICE continues, is 82% Latino majority renter, has a per capita annual income of $24,000, is smack in the middle of a working class archipelago that stretches from the port to inland empire. It's the kind of typical city that actually composes the LA economic subregion, where warehousing, machining, textiles, meatpacking, and the like form an industrial backbone and value flows through. If the LA rates sketch out what to expect going forward, I'm just in awe, really, of the gamble. Working class, likely citizen youth, just being clearly given a material focus for what's coming for their family and friends. Like these are the people who are the backbone of this country, okay? They've been over. They deserve better wages, not to be ripped apart from their families and shipped off to a slave labor colony so that the white nationalist government can prove a point to some of the dumbest, toothless, most inbred racist hicks on the planet in the country, who are too sad about their own current financial predicaments. And the Republican Party actively wants to move their attention away from who's actually them over, because the Republican Party is them over, to vulnerable populations that haven't done anything to them. It's ridiculous. It is completely ridiculous. It is moral to try and disrupt these illegal actions, okay? Because these actions are illegal. Revoking due process is not legal, okay? As I've said before, the difference between not opening the door or having someone who is a migrant in your home, let's say, when ICE comes in and you just don't open the door versus opening the door for them is literally life or death for this person. Okay? Considering that most of these arrests are not conducted in a lawful manner, disruption of the process unironically can save someone's life. It's the difference between Mahmoud Khalil, who is still currently in a facility in Louisiana, versus the Korean American girl who was lucky enough not to be home when ICE was conducting a raid on Columbia campus. And she swiftly was able to go to a judge and get protection. Like, it's that simple. That's the difference. Because their actions are often unjustifiable and illegal, any kind of disruption, or even an agent not wanting to go through with the paperwork or not wanting to deal with the trouble, can actually save someone from being shipped off into El Salvador without any sort of protection whatsoever. Okay? Gaming website, by the way, Mr. Beast Fan 42169, daily reminder, Twitch's gaming website. Dude, how old are you? We just talked about the biggest, one of the most famous gaming clans online, FaZe Clan, being a reality TV show. The largest content creators on this platform are doing entertainment content and commentary content. It's no longer 2018, little bro. Okay, Kai Cenat threw a pool party at his house yesterday. Had 300,000 people watching him. So let's get back to this and we'll keep talking, because because ICE is doing these illegal and unjustifiable dragnet operations in places of work in poor, primarily Latino communities, okay, against people who think that they currently still have protection from the federal government. They have to rely on the federal government behaving in a normal manner. They have to, because they have no other alternative, right? And the federal government instead is using the people's misplaced confidence in the government doing the right thing against them, using that as an opportunity to get an easy W for some of the most racist people in this country, even if it directly is at odds with the financial interests of corporations. Because the reality of the matter is, like, ripping apart these families, ripping apart a major part of the industrial base, the industrial labor base in this state, isn't even good for American commerce, American industry. It reminds me of the Roe v. Wade. It reminds me of the Roe v. Wade situation, like where, they are willing to take a political penalty just so they can throw some red meat at the base, the most radical elements within the base.
Deploying the National Guard, sending in 2,000 National Guardsmen as angry crowds protest his administration's aggressive deportation.
Yeah, or how the tariffs are horrible for the economy too, but the National Guard, federalizing the National Guard and sending it in is crazy in a sanctuary state nonetheless, because I don't know what the legal standard is here, but I suspect that Gavin Newsom has the opportunity to revoke or to stop this from happening.
Deportation efforts. Demonstrations now entering their third consecutive day after coordinated ICE operations across Los Angeles, sparking outrage and devolving into disarray. Dramatic images capturing the escalating chaos. Protests centered around the city of Paramount. Agents swarming this Home Depot there. Some protesters setting fires, breaking glass and vandalizing buildings. Police in riot gear attempting to disperse crowds, pelting the groups with tear gas, flashbangs, and rubber bullets. Governor Gavin Newsom slamming Trump's decision to deploy the National Guard, warning the move is, quote, purposefully inflammatory and will only escalate tensions. But the White House says it will address the lawlessness that has been allowed to fester. And Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth posting online, if violence continues, active duty Marines at Camp Pendleton will also be mobilized. They are on high alert.
Wait a minute.
Tensions also erupting in New York. Video showing this man clashing with ICE officers. The Department of Homeland Security identifying him as Joaquin Rosario Espinal of the Dominican Republic. Authorities say he resisted arrest after his immigration proceedings were dismissed. Espinal arrested alongside another woman who allegedly assaulted an officer despite what authorities called interference by members of the public.
Yeah, by the way, like, that's his charge. His charge is just walking outside of a courtroom where the immigrant court, in collaboration with ICE, dismissed his court case so that ICE could grab him and add another number to the board. Like, these are human beings, okay? That guy has friends. That guy has a way of existence on U.S. soil, has a job. You know what I mean? Has friends. In a lot of these instances, people like this also have family members that are American citizens, neighbors. You know what I mean? And he should, I don't know how many years he was here, but in a lot of instances, these guys are also here for like 10 plus years as well, waiting for their opportunity to get like legal status, as the government refuses to offer them said legal status. And then they walk into the courtroom thinking they're gonna finally get, they're finally moving in the direction of getting their legal status. And the immigrant judge says, nope, you. And ICE is waiting outside to kidnap him. And why are they trying to kidnap him? Is it because he is a horrible criminal? No, because he wouldn't be in immigration court if he was a horrifying criminal. You understand what I'm saying? He would be in court, regular court, criminal court. Do you see what I mean? He would not be in immigration court if he was a rapist drug dealer. Rapist drug dealers don't initially go to immigration court. They go to regular criminal court after they are found guilty. Then there is a process of deportation, and they don't walk freely to immigration court. This is like going to family court or going to traffic court and having federal law enforcement agencies that are masked up, by the way. Remember, they're masked up too, because they know what they're doing is illegal and immoral. Okay. And they are terrified of the scrutiny that will come their way down the line. These are the judges you get when the judiciary by appointment and not by election. Yeah. Like, imagine you're going to traffic court and there's just a bunch of Gestapo agents waiting outside. They're like, nope, you're done. We are sending you to El Salvador, where you will have no rights, no protection. Your family will not know anything about your situation.
The tensions reaching a breaking point just as Kilmar Abrego Garcia, who was mistakenly deported to El Salvador, arrived back in the United States on Friday. He's now facing 2 federal criminal charges, his attorney calling those charges preposterous and an abuse of power.
And basically every portion of the federal government is vowing to continue to enforce these ICE raids as they say the law is requiring them to do. But all of these activist groups that we have seen here on the ground, they say they are not leaving until these ICE officials move away and leave this neighborhood alone. All signs.
There's a reason why they're filming in front of this, by the way, in front of this Arco. They put up like one of these police surveillance modules or whatever here. And someone tipped it over. That's it. That's the maximum damage that you saw. Okay? That's the reason why they're filming in front of it.
Another day of intensity out here on the streets in California.
We will be watching to see what happens. Trevor, thank you.
Tensions were running high. Police deployed in riot gear in a bid to quell disorder. Protesters had taken to the streets in LA. Donald Trump's crackdown on immigration fueling anger.
We see you for what you are, a terrorist organization. ICE, out of Paramount. You are not welcome here.
The trouble flared when federal agents executed search warrants at 3 locations, adding to dozens already in custody. That culminated in a tense standoff at a local detention centre, where people demanded their release. LA Mayor Karen Bass described it as deeply concerning. California's Governor Gavin Newsom accused the federal government of sowing chaos so they'd have an excuse to escalate. And there's potential for escalation. President Trump's borders are confirming the deployment of the National Guard.
This is about enforcing the law. And again, we're not going to apologize for doing it. We're stepping up. She says they're going to mobilize. Well, guess what? We're already ahead of the game. We're already mobilizing. We're going to bring National Guard in tonight. We're going to continue doing our job. We're going to push back on these people, and we're going to enforce the law.
The president weighed in too, ahead of his arrival at a mixed martial arts fight in New Jersey. He posted, if the governor and mayor can't do their jobs, the federal government will step in and solve the problem. Local law enforcement isn't involved in the operation, but intervened when federal agents came under attack.
Yeah, by the way, I want people to understand, Tom Homan, that homunculus, that Baron Harkonnen archetype, was appointed by Barack Obama, okay? There's perhaps no better representation of the uniparty on foreign policy, on a lot of domestic issues as well, than this. Yeah.
The county sheriff urged protesters to disperse.
We have several, at least 100 deputies out here and asking for more assistance to make sure that we maintain the peace. We will protect your right to peacefully protest, but we cannot and will not tolerate violence or destruction of property.
The president usually deploys the National Guard in coordination with state governors. Not this time, seizing the opportunity to use federal force, 2,000 guardsmen. The Los Angeles Police Department said things had calmed, but that didn't stop the government placing active duty Marines stationed nearby on high alert for mobilisation, a decision the governor branded deranged. David Blevins, Sky News, in Washington.
Hello, I'm Nikki Schiller. Welcome to the program. We start this out in Los Angeles.
Democrats being silent. We love immigrants. Cue convenient. You only love us when we pick your vegetables for low wages and shut the up. I mean, clearly they don't even love that, because this will also harm the profit margins as well if it keeps going. So all of that whole like in this house we protect immigrants and Black Lives Matter is important to us, or that sort of thing, was just all. It was always okay.
President Trump has ordered 2,000 National Guards into the city to counter escalating protests in a predominantly Hispanic district of the Californian city.
Yeah, Democrats' response to this has basically been to say Obama deported 3 million of these scum without breaking the law. Trump can't even do that right. And it's like, don't you understand? Don't you realize that, look, President Obama deported 3 million people and managed to do so without using stormtroopers and the National Guard. Like everything else, Obama was better at that too. And it's like, hey, man, don't you feel like this is the reason why what you're seeing right now is happening? Like, you're not even thinking about this a little bit when you pop off with this. Like, is the problem deportations of migrants instead of offering them paperwork and citizenship? Or is the problem the ways in which they are deporting migrants? Because both parties want to deport migrants, it seems here. Okay? And if you are to recognize that America is a nation built by immigrants, okay, and a nation that has birthright citizenship, and a nation that has been able to withstand, at least for the past, 30, 40 years, some of the trappings of other developed nations in terms of its birth rates as a direct consequence of migration patterns. And that all of the lies being made up about migrants, about how they're criminals and whatnot, are just purely racist lies in an effort to justify this kind of stormtrooper National Guard situation. Then flexing that Obama did this too is not the appropriate response at all. Obama was the one that passed policy that ICE can wear civilian clothes and cover their faces. He was a monster on immigration, arguing for fascism to stop fascism, peak liberalism. A ton of replies that Obama didn't have opposition. He did. And from judges and from protesters, which led to the implementation of DACA protections. Google things. It's all right there. It takes 10 seconds. Do you think that the long-term trade-off we made as leftists, made by supporting Democrats, has been worth it? The trade-off being sacrificing human rights of Black, brown, and immigrant communities in exchange for some human rights for gay people and women. Those rights are now being removed by Republicans. There's no alternative, chatter. I don't know why you're like, I don't know what you're saying here. Like, there is no alternative. It's not like I have ever supported Barack Obama's deportation policies. It's not like I have ever supported the Democratic Party's additional right-wing heel turn beyond the implementation of Obama's deportation policies. Like, what do you mean? You make it seem like there's an alternative out there and people were just simply not grabbing onto that alternative. This kind of framing is silly. The alternative is to stay home, which is ironically what the plurality did over and over again anyway. Anyone who got famous Univision interview of Obama about immigration with Jorge Ramos, where he gets pissed at being pressed on immigration? I don't know what the what legal alternatives Gavin Newsom has here in terms of like stopping the National Guard, considering that it's supposed to be under his control. But it's alarming that they're not doing anything beyond complaining.
It comes after a second day of clashes between residents of Paramount and border immigration officers trying to implement President Trump's policy to deport unauthorized migrants. Now, federal ICE agents used tear gas, flashbangs and batons to disperse the protesters. The White House border policy chief has gone to Los Angeles to personally supervise the operation, during which more than 40 migrants were arrested on Saturday. He warned that there would be zero tolerance of any violence or damage to private property. The mayor of Los Angeles, Karen Bass, said ICE was sowing terror in America's second largest city. While announcing the order deploying the National Guard, the White House said the administration has a zero tolerance.
we are seconds away from centrist Dems criticizing the protests. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how the centrist Democrats or like the normie Democrats are going to respond to this. I don't know, because like they hate Donald Trump. I'm saying like the voters, not the politicians. Like the politicians don't care one way or another. It's very obvious that they don't care. Chuck Schumer's like, we're looking into it, dude. And it's not even just like Chuck Schumer is looking into it or whatever. They don't even care when Democratic congresspersons are getting apprehended by ICE and Department of Homeland Security, or the Department of Justice. Sorry. Like Hakeem Jeffries was like, oh, we're thinking about responding. We're thinking about the best ways of responding to this, when they grabbed a staffer from Nadler's office, you know, like they're talking about arresting Democrats. They're so cowardly and so invested in pure capitulation to fascism that like, even if they go to jail, they're like, well, at least I did my job to bring about the fascist dystopia that the American future would look like, you know? These are what the prominent liberals are saying. Yeah, I saw this, and I don't think this is the average centrist liberal's position. I think you'll see your parents take a more aggressive stance than people on Twitter, okay? I admire the courage of people protesting the ICE raids in California. Full stop. That's good. Just say that. The rest is bull. Don't need to hear anything else, okay? I'm against violent protests and think they're counterproductive. I also think that nonviolent protests send a more powerful and enduring message. Have long believed in Dr. King's message about using nonviolent resistance. That said, I also hope everyone protesting stays safe. This is a long struggle, and there are many ways to support immigrants beyond what's happening right now in the streets. You can volunteer with pro-immigrant organizations, offer material aid, or even pursue a career in immigration law. I share your anger and believe we can channel this energy into something that makes meaningful change for immigrants. But to do that, you have to stay safe. I don't really care. I don't really care what, you know, Dye Workwear has to say about how to successfully resist against the fascist administration. Like, I don't care. A lot of this stuff is already happening in a decentralized manner, in real time, through community organizing. It's direct community response. And the only reason why there is direct community response is because our leadership has left us behind. If you don't want anarchy, you have to, at the very least, entertain bringing about a sense of normalcy and due process. If there is no normalcy and no due process, people are going to go, okay, well, I don't want my parents to get kidnapped. Sorry, I'm going to put my body in front of a ICE bus. Okay? So tweeting about how you shouldn't do that from the comfort of your home is irrelevant. It's utterly irrelevant. Okay? If you don't want chaos and you don't want anarchy, and I certainly am not an anarchist, okay? I'm wearing a t-shirt. That is my merch. This is Abolish All Borders. But even in spite of that, I am not an anarchist, okay? I'm not. But also, what the do you expect people to do? Did you just like sit there and eat it? Sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. Did they arrest your dad after he showed up for his court hearing where the judge unceremoniously dismissed him? So that the ICE agents waiting at the ICE agents waiting in the courtroom could just like kidnap him. Yeah, nothing you can do about it. Don't even feel bad about it. There's like, don't even show discontent because guess what? You just have to compromise ahead of time. You know, concede ahead of time. Or people being like, why are you bringing Mexico flags to the protest? Like Seth Abramson. This is another freak ass lib. This is Mr. Blue and on himself. I get the impulse to bring a Mexican flag to protests in LA, but the optics for those who love democracy are 100% better. The protesters are waving American flags. There needs to be at least some strategy here, given the Trumpist thing is falsely claiming a foreign invasion. Why? Who cares? It's California. It's perfectly valid. It is perfectly valid and perfectly permissible to show your ethnic background. You can be a Mexican American. As a matter of fact, there are tens of millions of Mexican Americans. It's Los Angeles, California, man. What are we doing? It's not Albany, okay? It's called Los Angeles. Where do you think, what language is Los Angeles? What the is the city called the Angels? Or is it called Los Angeles? This was literally Mexico, yeah. Change it to the Angels, brother. Call it the Angels. Hello, I'm flying into the Angels X. I'm flying into the Angels X airport. Latinx airport. It's called Tax now, not Lax. That land is more recently a part of Mexico than is a part of the U.S. Bro, don't give Trump ideas. He renamed the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America. Yeah. A lot of this optical is just for the birds, okay? I don't care. I don't care that people are waving Mexican flags or Guatemalan flags or Argentinian flags. Okay, maybe not the Argentinian flags, but like, because I did see some of those. Okay, all jokes aside. Yeah, this is a diverse city, okay? It is a diverse city. It's one of the best parts about living in a city. People come from all around the planet. What the hell is going on here? The only flag that I consider to be unacceptable to wave at protests like this is the Israeli flag. And obviously they're not going to be anywhere near it. If anything, people who want to wave the Israeli flag would probably be waving it as in the counter protest, waving it alongside ICE agents like, please get these terrorists out of here. They are defending terror. Israel, why are they not defending Israel? Do you not love Israel? You are deported. Yeah. And obviously Kyle makes that same point. He says the same politicians that say flying a Mexican flag in LA is cause for deportation have an office like this. True. No politic here. No politic here. Do you love Israel? Would you fly the Turkish flag? No, because I'm not like that. I'm not like a big flag guy. At most, maybe the Palestinian flag. But I don't give a shit if other people are, okay? Especially considering that, especially if you're waving a Mexico flag, you belong to Mexico. Like, one of the best parts, one of the only defendable aspects of American existence is that it is diverse. That people from all around the planet have come here and made it their home. Okay? That's what makes this country actually good and cool. It's like one of the only redeemable qualities of America is that our big cities are endlessly diverse. And people bring their language, their culture, their practices, their food. And it's really frustrating that who will never live in a city like this, who are just scared of these sorts of, cultural exchanges happening, get to be fearful from afar, and the stupid federal government listens to their stupid ass fears and behaves this way for them. It is a reactionary minority of people, okay? A reactionary minority of people who also do benefit from that diversity later down the line, you know? Everyone inevitably benefits from it. Even people in Nebraska. You say Nebraska is a border state, but it's like, why are we listening to a dude in Nebraska about like undocumented migration happening in this country? Okay. Meanwhile, inevitably better food also reaches Nebraska, you know? Cranberry Soul 55, thank you for the 5 gift subs. And Just the Mom 707, thank you for the 10 gifted subs. Oh, yeah. Did you see this New York Times article? It's the most liberal Hitler-coded shit I've ever seen. Is it okay to earn rental income from an ICE holding facility? What are the ethics of receiving money from an entity you consider kind of evil? The ethicist. Who is this for, man? Like, actually, who could this be for? This is for like 8 people in the country. At some point, we scaled up. There's no ethical consumption under capitalism. I should be allowed to do anything, and I'm looking to be comforted about that. Takes a special kind of person who wants salvation, but goes to the New York Times ethicist instead of a priest. No, this is for liberals who wouldn't be caught dead inside of a church anyway. The ethicist. Is it okay to own real estate in the Warsaw Ghetto? New York Times, the ethicist. The Jews did an uprising. Now my property values in the Warsaw Ghetto are diminishing. What to do? Why won't the Jews stop doing uprisings in the Warsaw Ghetto? They are harming my property values. The Warsaw riots have a good cause, but they need to do it peacefully. Anyway, what is this? Did you see the Israel mention in this? While our nation's founding was indeed shaped by Judeo-Christian values, the First Amendment unequivocally guarantees that our government remains neutral towards all religions. A Sikh prayer on the House floor, followed by a Christian prayer 1 week and a Jewish prayer next, doesn't violate the Constitution, offend my Catholic faith, or throttle my support for Israel. Live and let live. Wait, what is this? The 7-Eleven guys are always welcome. The 9/11 guys should be banned immediately. By the way, he didn't. I don't see him saying a Muslim prayer is also fine. You know. Notice how these guys don't make room for that ever. I wonder why. What does 7-Eleven mean? Oh, it's just the old racist. It's an old racist post 9/11 meme, I guess, where people say 7-Eleven brown people are Indian and 9/11 brown people are just Muslims because Indians own 7-Elevens. It's like a Simpsons. It's a racist trope from The Simpsons. Yeah, but here's what took place. Vance calls the LA protest an invasion. 4 minutes later, Miller calls it an insurrection. 29 minutes later, Hegseth threatens to send in the Marines. It's like clockwork. They chomped at the bit for months for a pretext to declare martial law under pretext of insurrection/invasion. That's how quickly this unfolded last night. Pete Hegseth quite literally said he is going to send in the Marines. Okay? Is there anything that has taken place that justifies the Marine Corps coming in? No, of course not. Don't be ridiculous. There is not many events that could have unfolded that would justify such a thing. Charlie Kirk saw this and immediately said, deport, by the way, which I don't even know if there's a real photo, but it's badass. Having said that, you don't even know if any of these are like undocumented. I don't know if this is AI or not. I'm looking at the fingers to see if it's AI or not. It might not be, because there were a bunch of people around the flaming car in front of Dale's Donuts. But yeah, this is all you need to know, is that these guys are not white. Okay? These guys are not white. That's it. So yeah, we got to deport them. What's the crime in that photo that even requires any sort of criminal action, any sort of criminal prosecution? Standing in front of a burning car, waving a flag, having aura. None of these things are legal, dumbass. Did they burn the car? Do you have any proof that they burned? No, don't say burning a car, you dumb. They didn't burn the car. You are delusional. I'm delusional. Do you know did they burn the car? Is that what happened? Or was the car on fire when they were aura farming in front of it? If you take a photo in front of a burning car after like the Eagles win, okay, you have to get deported. Oh, wait, that doesn't happen because you're white and therefore it's fine. That's all good. That's just good-natured fun. I took a pig in front of a car accident once and the cops arrested me on site for causing the crash. Yeah. You have to remember something, okay? You have to remember something. Yeah, this is the dude. This was a sick ass photo. I usually don't like to talk about politics on here. I keep it strictly sports. But boy, am I proud of my people for standing up for themselves today. We deserve a chance to live here too. I said, damn, these people are really racist on this app now. Don't worry. They won't say any of these things in person. Yeah. Think about it. You see a burning car. You see a bunch of dudes in front of a burning car. Okay. You see a bunch of dudes in front of a burning car. and they're aura farming in front of the fucking burning car, okay? And you immediately go, oh, they did it. We must deport them. Ask yourself why. Ask yourself why. Like, what's this guy doing that's illegal? What's this guy doing that's illegal? What's this guy doing that's illegal? This guy, maybe you could make an argument because he's getting on top of it, even though it's technically not illegal to get on top of a burning car either. Okay? What did any of these people do that's illegal? Do you know if they're undocumented? No, you don't. You just assume that they are because they're waving a Mexican flag. That's fire. Those are dirt bikes that are not street legal, brother. Deport them now. Me, on the other hand, also use my dirt bike on the street sometimes, but I'm, of course, American and white. And I wouldn't wave a Mexican flag. I'd wave an American one, maybe a Confederate one, which, of course, should be the only flag you can wave.